Hello my friend, Namaskar and welcome to Curries with Bumbi. Today I will show you how to make flatbreads using green peas in the easiest way possible. I will be using frozen green peas because that's what I get easily and it turns out to be very delicious. As always, I will explain everything step by step so that it seems doable even if you are a beginner. I have taken 1.5 cups of frozen green peas which I have soaked in little warm water to thaw them out. Once thawed, drain out all the water by passing through a strainer. Transfer the peas to your blender jar along with a little bit of ginger, a green chili which is optional. I also added 1/4 teaspoon of asafoetida, that is hing. If you do not get hing, then add 2 large cloves of garlic, half a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of roasted cumin seeds. I roasted a tablespoon of cumin seeds over very low heat for a few seconds and then ground them to a powder. Do not allow the seeds to turn too dark brown in color as then they will turn bitter. First switch on the pulse mode so that the peas get roughly crushed. Then add a tablespoon of water at a time until you get a smooth paste. You do not want your paste to get too watery. So add a tablespoon of water at a time and work your way through until you get a smooth paste. I used only 3 tablespoons of water. Moving on to making the dough. To start with, I take an equal proportion of flour as to green peas. Since I used 1.5 cups of peas, so I used 1.5 cups of flour. I am using all-purpose flour, that is plain flour or maida. You can also use whole wheat flour or chapati flour. In it, I added about 1/8 teaspoon of ajwain, that is carom seeds. Ajwain not only helps in digestion but it also brings in a nice flavor. If you do not get it, no worries. Use dried thyme instead. Crush the ajwain a little bit and add it. Then half a teaspoon of salt and about half a tablespoon of ghee. You can also use oil instead of ghee. Mix the ghee very well with the flour and then add the pureed green peas. Start kneading the dough. Initially, it will seem very sticky. Do not be tempted to add any flour at this time. Try mixing everything. If the dough seems too sticky and if you are seeing it's not coming together, that means it's too wet. So add a tablespoon of flour at a time. And if it still feels too wet, then add another tablespoon of flour. In case it's the other way around, like if your dough feels too hard, then add just a tablespoon of water at a time and work your way through. The dough shouldn't be too sticky nor too hard. I used only 2.5 tablespoons of flour. And when it's not sticking to your fingers, you need to knead it for at least 10 minutes. In that way, your flatbreads will turn very soft. The dough is now looking perfect. It is not sticking to my fingers. Apply a teaspoon of oil all around, cover it and allow it to stand for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, roll and stretch the dough like a log. Then cut into small portions. Take each one, roll into a ball and slightly flatten gently by pressing between your palms. If you are a beginner, I would highly suggest making small balls because in that way it will be easier for you to roll out and it becomes more manageable. Cover them with a clean cloth while you roll them out one by one. This will prevent them from drying up. Keep some flour handy ready in a bowl. Take a ball, dust it lightly with flour. Dust your work surface lightly with flour. I first flatten them out a little bit with my fingers. Then roll them out gently. Roll center and out, both on top and bottom, and give a slight turn, then again roll center and out and turn. Please do not focus too much on the shape, but focus more on rolling out all even throughout. If one part is thick and another portion is thin, then your flatbreads will not cook evenly. Do not roll them out too thin, nor they should be too thick. If it is sticking to the rolling pin or to your work surface, then sprinkle a little bit of flour, but do not add too much flour, as then the flatbreads will turn hard. Remember to dust off the excess flour after you are done rolling them, and then keep them on a plate. I keep one on top of the other, but I would highly recommend keeping them separate if you are a beginner, because sometimes they tend to stick to each other. These flatbreads turn out to be very delicious. Usually green peas are used to make stuffed parathas, but this recipe is extremely easy to make, and if you are a beginner or if you are in a rush, then you are going to love this recipe. Let me know in the comment section if you would like to learn how to make stuffed green pea paratha, and I will show you that as well. After you are done rolling out, it is frying time. Use a heavy bottom skillet for making any flatbread. Heat the pan very well before frying. Once the pan turns very hot, lower the heat to medium-low and place the flatbread carefully. Cook on medium-low heat for a few seconds. When you see the color changing a little bit on top, flip it. Do not wait for it to turn too brown. Just give it a few seconds and flip again. The first one I will show you without using any oil, if you want to have it just like a roti. Flip it a few times, and when you see these brown spots on top, it is time to take out. You need to adjust the heat if required. If you see the spots are too black in color, lower the heat more. So this one is just like a roti. If you want it to stay soft for a long time, just brush it a little bit with oil or ghee immediately after taking out from the pan. I am using olive oil, but you can use any oil of your choice. Keep them on a wire rack like this while you fry the other ones so that they don't turn soggy. The next one I will fry like a paratha. The steps are all the same. First cook it on medium-low heat on one side. Flip it after few seconds. Then flip it again. Brush a little bit of oil on top. Flip carefully using 2 spoons. Brush oil on this surface now. Then flip it until it develops light brown spots all over. If you are a beginner, then these are the 2 important points that you need to keep in mind while making flatbreads. Number 1, you need to have patience. You may not be successful on the first try, and that leads to my second point, that is practice. Believe me, my friend, practice makes it better. Do not worry about the shape. Do not worry if your first few flatbreads turn rock hard. Just keep trying using this video as a guide, and please do let me know whenever you have questions. I try my best to reply to all my comments, so please do not be shy to ask me if you have any questions related to any video. These flatbreads stay soft for a long time. You can make a large batch, store them in the fridge, and next day just warm it up a little bit in the microwave, and they again become super soft. But for any flatbread, it tastes the best the day it is made. These are also very good for lunch boxes. In fact, I packed these for my husband's lunch box with a dry curry by the side. You can have it with any curry, or chola dal, which is a thick lentil curry. I will link that video in the description box. You can also have this with a plain raita or with any dip of your choice. And kids will really get attracted by this green color. But do not make this mistake by telling them that it is made of green peas. This is a potato curry that I made with dill. And both my husband and I love this curry. And these flatbreads, I'm telling you my friends, they are such a joy to have. Please do try this recipe and send me your feedback. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.